In today's video, I sit down with one of the biggest tandems in sports cards, Loot Box TV, to find all about Jin and Juice's journey through the sports card hobby. All right, what's going on YouTube? Card52 coming at you here with a brand new video. And we are back with another episode of Collections, Card Shops, and Collectors, a series highlighting the best the hobby has to offer. This will be a perfect representation of that as we are sitting down with Jin and Juice from Loot Box TV.
Woo!
Fellas, appreciate you coming on.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you're having me, technically. I'm in your place. We're in Atlanta, so
yeah.
I appreciate y'all letting me come down,
absolutely,
interview you guys, and see what's going on in your world.
Absolutely, we appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming by.
Absolutely. So I think this will be a fun one. I'm excited to hear a little bit about your journey, and I think that's a really good segue into the first question.
Yeah.
We talked about it offline a little bit, and you said we would talk about it in this interview.
Sure.
Jin and Juice, where did that come from? How did that start? And really, where did you guys get connected, and where did this form?
Yeah, so, I was on a little fitness journey way back in the day. I still am now. I took a break. Let me tell you, I took a break, all right? Don't question the physique yet, but yeah. So I decided to join a gym. I got a personal trainer, and funny enough, the guy who had the session before me with the personal trainer was Andrew. So one thing that we had in common was making fun of the trainer, kind of like we've been making fun of you all night. And, friends started to blossom from there. Then you started playing some games, opening up product. I was like, hey, I'm going to go rip a bunch of Pokemon stuff. Yep. And we kind of started doing that. And I told him, hey, I open up Pokemon, and, at the time it was Pokemon, on YouTube. It'd be awesome to, really make something happen with this. And decided to go become a tandem, like you mentioned earlier, and really start cracking out videos left and right, having some fun. Andrew was a little bit more of the, I guess, a backer, and providing a lot of the packs early on, just so we can pump out content. Of course, what it's like to open up a ton of content if you don't have, the funds to do it. It's a little difficult. So us going back and forth, opening up packs and so forth, really allowed us to create a bunch of content. And then a lot of the fans, saying, hey, why is the guy just sitting in the back and not open up packs? So I'm like, all right, dude, I'm reading all these comments, and every night I'm like, dude, you got to open packs. He's like, I really don't want to. I'm like, well, you're sitting behind the camera just going like this the entire time. I'm like, dude, you got to get involved. So a couple weeks later, he started opening up a little bit more, and I'll let you talk about that a little bit, your experience there.
Yeah, I didn't really want to be in the camera, in the limelight, because I'm a bit of a quiet person, so I'd rather observe and be involved behind the scenes. But Juice was like, if we're going to do this, you have to be on camera. We have to make it a team effort, because, if you're providing the packs also, I got to have you on camera. So slowly but surely, I started to be in the videos, and then it kind of helped me get out of my shell. And that's where we are today, where we're bantering back and forth, and I'm, opening packs and all of that. So it grew into, what it is today, and it's been a very exciting journey for sure.
That's incredible.
Absolutely.
That's very, very funny. And seeing it now, I would have never guessed that's where it would have started, right? With you two so quiet, because when you guys are together and we're hanging out, it's the opposite.
I am so the type of personality is not quiet.
Yeah, sure.
I am loud everywhere I go, and I know some people, it might not be their cup of tea. I get it, but I don't know. It's always been me being loud, and he's the exact opposite. So it's funny because it makes the banter even better.
Sure.
And a lot of our stuff now is fun and is exciting. It's kind of PG to where we really are. I mean, obviously we like to have a good time and talk a little ish every now and then, but it's fun. It really is.
Very cool. Now you mentioned Pokemon. That's where the channel for Loot Box started?
Technically it was gaming, and then I was like, all right, this is way too much work. It's very syndicated, and I come from a marketing background, so I was like, okay, if I really want to grow, I'm gonna have to find an area of opportunity where in a space where I feel like they're not really being dominant. or well, a lot of individuals aren't being dominant. And I have the background from a marketing standpoint, and I was just doing a lot of analytics. I'm like, all right, video game and streaming and stuff like that is really not going to be for me yet. Maybe I can revisit when I grow a little bit more. And I just started opening up packs and found that niche, and it really started to take off. I started to see a little bit of success, and that's when I talked to Andrew. I'm like, hey, there's something really good here. I just need a little bit of help. Like, I can't fund this all myself. And we started talking back and forth, and we came up with a couple of ideas, and really, you know, we just took off. The cool thing working with Andrew is, and one of the things that a lot of people don't know is, like, we bounce ideas off each other, but like, if I'm pretty headstrong in a lot of things I do, and he allows me to just push through, and then he sprinkles his little insights here, and it helps me pivot and adjust, and we both work together to really push forward. And it really has been, you know, I'm kind of like a match made in heaven, to be realistic with you. And then yeah, we're here, almost 100,000. We're about 80K now, and we're growing, you know, slowly, but we're having a good time and living life, you know.
Now, have you guys, so you like, you know, did gaming, did Pokemon, do cards now, always both been interested in all of those things? Or was it like, hey, one of you was into Pokemon, the other not so much, one was into gaming, the other not so much? Like, how does that, you know, dichotomy work?
I would say that I think Juice was more into Pokemon in the beginning, because back when I grew up in the 90s, I played more Magic than Pokemon, and I always thought Pokemon was just the cartoons. Yeah. So I would just go with him to the card shops while he's opening up boxes and boxes of Pokemon, and then eventually I was just like, you know, let me dabble a little bit and see what all this is about. And then I pull, you know, some rare cards that he had been like opening boxes and cases of and couldn't get, and I got 2 of them relatively quickly. And then after that, I was just kind of hooked. And then I was just, and it spiraled into this monster that now spends a ton of money on wax and vintage products and everything like that. So it really opened the floodgates.
And by the way, he's being a little humble there, or he's not expanding a little bit. He rubbed it in my face that he pulled these 2 cards. Well,
it's the same card
twice. It was a Reshiram is what it's called. It's a Reshiram and Charizard hyper rare. It's a beautiful card. It has Charizard on it. Charizard's everything that everybody wants to pick. I opened up 25 booster boxes. Booster boxes are $100 a pop. So do the math. This guy opened up a case, which is about 6, and pulled 1. And I was just like livid. But that kind of like started his spiraled now to, he has his own little card shop in his living room. But for me, I've always been into sports as a young kid, opening up sports cards as a kid, collected a lot of baseball. And then as I grew up, I kind of like just got away from the baseball side, got into high school. You know, times were tough as a kid, so you really couldn't afford to do a lot of the things that I'm able to do now. I'm pretty blessed with it. But growing up, my focus was never there, so I kind of got out of collecting. But never stopped playing sports, things like that. And Pokemon was always there as well, as something that was fun. I had a Game Boy with the Pokemon games on it. And I had that for years playing it, because I couldn't get a new system or anything like that. So you're playing Pokemon. I got the Pikachu one. The yellow one was the last one I got, and I would just play that to the end of time. And
classics.
Finally able to get back into it, and you know, about 4 years ago now, collect a little bit on the side, and then obviously what it is today.
Now it seems like you guys, you know, you joke about the one card you pulled out of 6 boxes, you ripped 25. It seems like this is a pretty competitive thing while also remaining friends. How have you guys been able to like implement some of that into your channel and some of your content? Because it sounds like it would be a cool and entertaining piece.
Yeah, I mean, it's at times it can be super competitive, especially when we are like going after the same thing. Yeah. More recent, we try to convert that content into battles between each other. Okay. And that's really where it exploded. I mean, we did a couple other box battle type videos with like Jeff, Sports Card Investor, and that was fun and interactive. And, you know, we try to do the same with us, and we challenge other people and stuff. That's part of it, but also there would be nights where we don't even record, like when Hidden Fates is a Pokemon set when it first came out. We literally went to Target and we were able to get tins upon tins, and we're sitting here for hours just ripping, just seeing who can get the Charizard first, things like that. But I mean, most of the time we're just having fun ripping. it is competitive, but a lot of times too, we're backing each other up, except for a few times you like to say, hey, I hope you pull Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, I like to keep it a little bit competitive. Yeah. You know, just to rub it in his face. You know, if he pulls something bad or something he doesn't like, or you know, if I get a better pull, you know, I like to flaunt it a little bit. You know, get his gears going.
Yeah,
now,
gears going all right.
Speaking of better pulls, you guys have ripped a lot of cool stuff. You have one of the cool pulls next to you. Care to talk about that and where that came from?
So the Zion booklet that we pulled at a local shop, Kaboom Collectibles.
Yeah, now known as Kaboom Collectibles.
Yeah, we, you know, just went in and we were kind of like, you know, the three of us looked and we were like, you know, let's box battle some opulence, you know, just casually. So we're like, yeah, okay, sure, why not? So, you know, me, Juice, and Dude Luck picked up a box each, and then we were just, you know, opening, and, you know, Juice just happened to see the back, and, you know, he fell on his knees, and he already knew, and he congratulated me, and I was very confused at the time, and he was just like, you know what, we just have to just go right to it, and it happened to be that Zion booklet, and I was like, awesome. He was a chase at the time, and then, you know, it's like holding on to it. What do I do? Do I sell? Do I keep? And then, you know, he got injured, didn't play. You know, the hype was down, but, you know, I'm glad I held on to it. I think he looks pretty good right now, so I'm just hoping, you know, he stays healthy.
It's crazy to think about, but this will Zion will be entering his 4th NBA season this year.
And it doesn't even feel that long.
Doesn't that seem crazy?
It seems like he's about to be in his rookie year again.
No, I think about that a lot.
He hasn't even played that much.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Go to his 4th NBA season. What any other polls or moments like that stand out in your guys' card collecting journey?
Oh, I mean, there's tons, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the coolest reactions, and like, I'm a loud person. Yeah. I think I probably easily, hands down, like my voice, everything, people can identify that. But one of the best pulls, I'd say the best pulls on the channel, had nothing to do with my reaction, everything had to do with his. And it was so genuine. When he pulled the Justin Herbert stained glass from NFL Prism, lost his mind, he cussed a little bit. It was like, it was just the purest reaction. And it was by far one of my favorite moments ever on our channel.
That's awesome. Now you got some stuff pulled out.
Yeah.
Care to show us or talk a little bit about what some of these might be?
I pulled, if you want to hand me those two right there. I pulled out a couple other items. So the first one I got here, it's going to be DeAndre Ayton. I got a couple of his rookie ticket autos.
Why Ayton?
Ayton, so multiple reasons. First reason, he went to high school in Arizona. Second reason, he went to the University of Arizona. Third reason, #1 overall pick to the Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
So I grew up here in Arizona, played basketball in high school, you know, a part of the basketball team in high school in Arizona. Went to University of Arizona and a diehard Suns fan. And it just, it's everything. It's like, you think about it as a kid growing up, you basically are drafted to the team in the state where you grew up, you went to high school, you went to college. A lot of kids dream about that. And I just think it's so cool. So that story alone, one of my favorite players to collect. I got autographed jerseys. I got a couple other items, but this is absolutely phenomenal. That's why I grabbed these.
Very cool. What, can you talk about this at all?
Yeah, so this is kind of cool. Star Wars. So this is from that Star Wars Galaxy set. Very popular set. This is how popular it was. We were able to get multiple boxes at the time. We thought it was a high price of $88.
What are they now, 600 plus?
$600 plus for a box. And then the new one's coming out, and I think they're starting at $250 MSRP. This is one of the best cards. It's called the Leap of Faith. It's a beautiful cracked ice card. The cracked ice card is actually selling better than some of the lower parallels just because of the way it looks. It's a phenomenal card. I love Star Wars. I actually got my girlfriend into it recently. She never seen any Star Wars, and basically watched all the videos and the shows in about 2 weeks. So she's caught up. She's even further than I am in a lot of the shows.
That's awesome.
So it means a lot to me. It's something I can share with Kat, and it's something that I grew up with. So Star Wars has a special place in my heart.
Sure.
For sure.
What
These three, yeah.
Kobe.
Those Kobe Bryant patches here. These cards are just absolutely phenomenal. Game worn patches of a legend. And the reason why I decided to get Kobe, I hated him. Absolutely hated the Lakers. I still hate the Lakers. Hated Kobe Bryant, but I loved Kobe Bryant at the same time. I know a lot of people got to see Michael Jordan play. Like, obviously I saw him play, but it was in the 90s. I was still a little kid. I had no idea really what I was watching. When you watch Kobe Bryant play, you knew what you were watching. I understood it. Yep. He is an all-time great. In my eyes, top 3 basketball players. I know that's very debatable, but in my eyes, he's part of the top 3. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And obviously, the tragedy that happened kind of magnified it a little bit more. Sure. But the reaction of everybody just shows you how much he meant to the game of basketball. And I think he's just a phenomenal human being. And I'm happy to have these game-worn items for someone. I understand now and respect game-worn patches and material in the hobbies. Sure. And I'm happy that I got these.
Sure. What would you guys say if you each had to pick one? You guys rip a lot of product. You've come across some cool cards, pulled some cool cards. Is there anything that stands out in terms of like your chase card right now, your grail card, something that you're hoping to acquire?
Wow, that's a tough one.
I'll start because I actually brought them out. So those two right there on top. I actually brought these out because I was chasing. I've been talking about Lamelo Ball. So if you watched any Loot Box TV channels, both Andrew and I talk about Lamelo Ball all the time. I was very hyped on him when he came in, and it is what it is, but that's the word you got to use. I was very hyped on him. I still am. I think he's going to be a face of the league for years to come. Raw talent. The dude can do a lot. And I was actually chasing this one here. It's funny, the story behind when we pulled that. It was around Culture Collision, the second show here in Atlanta, the second time they've had it. It was late January, I believe, something like that is when they have it. And it's coming up around February, and I buy a bunch of product. And I was like, I bought a bunch of product from Louisville Sports, and I told G, I looked at him the night before, there is a LaMelo Ball patch auto in these boxes, and I'm going to pull it tomorrow. What do you know? Boom. Auto LaMelo Ball. And this is one of the only products he was really signing at the time.
Yeah, sure.
It still is. And it's just a huge chase for me. And then Andrew was able to acquire this at the National. And when he got that at the National, we worked out a deal after the fact, and he helped me acquire this, which is phenomenal. So I don't know if I'm going to be building the rainbow by any means, like I am with the Amaris, but to have LaMelo Ball autos, and that's my chase right now. I'm not too big on the modern players, even though I do have an Ayton, but a lot of my PC revolves around Arizona Wildcats and like basketball players I like growing up. So to have that as a modern, that's probably like the only modern card I do have, like super modern.
So for me, I'm going to have to say I'd like to chase a 2020 Dynasty Lewis Hamilton.
Yep.
Maybe a low-numbered would be ideal, raw or graded. But right now, that's my top chase. Or any like a nice sapphire Hamilton variation, So right now, I think a Lewis Hamilton is right now on the top of my list for chase grails.
Very cool. Yeah, very, very cool. I love the first year Dynasty, love the first year Chrome stuff. So I
will say those sets are phenomenal looking. They truly are.
I was able to pick up a Lewis Dynasty towards the end of last year, and it's definitely one of my favorite cards in my collection. So they don't pop up very often. So I knew it when I saw it. I was like, I thought the same thing. It's like, this is a grail type piece, and these aren't going to pop up very often. If I want one, this is the chance, and I pulled a trigger, and I hope you get one, because that's a really cool card. That's a really, really cool card.
buy yours.
I don't know about that. I think I'm gonna probably.
Well, don't you have something you can sell him?
Yeah, maybe.
A couple things. So you guys have a lot of content. You've made a huge brand on there. Like you said, you were over 80,000 followers. That's amazing and super hard to do. But what would you say is next? What's the current plans for Lootbox look like?
You know, that's a little tough because we have a lot of goals and aspirations that we want to do as a brand name. It's not all about just opening a product. Like, we both have an idea where we want to be at. You know, right now we don't do this full time. We truly are just hobbyists at the moment. Like, we like to go to the shows. We like to rip, wax, buy product. You know, I sell a little bit more than Andrew does.
A little bit more.
A little bit more. But that's just to, you know, keep my hobby going. You know, just I like to be, you know, fluid with a lot of things that I'm doing. But I think next steps is potentially growing this to a point where maybe the brand turns into a little bit more of other passions that we might have. I'm still huge into the gaming. I always wanted to get back into gaming. At the end of the day, I do really want to own my own esports team.
Okay.
That's a very huge passion of mine. And I feel like the Lootbox brand could potentially be that one day, an avenue. But there's a lot of work left to be done. You know, you and I were talking about it before, that you're a big fan of hard work, not a free ride type of person like I am. Like, you know, I can't stand that. Like, I'm a hard worker, and I really want to put in the effort, and there's so much work left to be done to get to that point. And you set goals, right? When we get to 100K, we were talking about it a little bit before, that unlocks more of, maybe we'll do a little bit of merch, maybe we'll do a little bit of this, but I want to be able to provide a product or a name to someone that actually means something to them. I don't want to just do it to do it. I want to actually provide a benefit. So to find out what next steps are for me, it's a little complex, but at least that's the trajectory I want to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think now, you know, we've reached a point that, you know, we never thought that we would get here so quickly. You know, 80K right now, only 2-3 years into it, pretty amazing for us. Now we realize that, you know, as we gain more notoriety into the space, we decided that, you know, instead of just opening product, let's start to talk about some of the issues, you know, in the hobby, and kind of maybe build dialogue and narrative to try to maybe change how it is, or to bring awareness to it. You know, the more and more people are saying, like, you know, you guys are getting to the level of a big influencer, you know, sometimes you might be the problem as to why, you know, hobby boxes are so high and things like that. And kind of is true, you know, like, we do buy the product because we have to open it, but at the end of the day, I don't think our influence is going to be moving markets. But then we start to realize, you know what, why don't we start to bring awareness and start talking about these things and start creating that dialogue, so that maybe we start something that starts to grow and bring out, you know, about change into the hobby in a positive way. So I think now we're slowly focusing on opening products, but also trying to bring awareness, information, and things like that to the hobby for all the new people coming in, so that they're not overwhelmed or taken advantage of.
No. Shooting people straight.
Very cool.
Trying to be transparent.
Very cool. So I ask, as we wrap this up, I ask everybody that we do this with, you guys have built something incredible, like I've mentioned. You guys are great friends, a lot of cool stories on your journey. But it's been that, right? It's been a journey. If you look back towards the beginning, earlier years in life, if you were starting over now, right, knowing what you know now, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
Ooh, piece of advice. Just, I think, for me personally, I think it would be, you know, don't be afraid to just be yourself. Like, I think one thing we talked about in the beginning when we started this channel, we were like, we're going to be who we are, whether we're on camera or off camera. So obviously, you know, we'll try to keep the profanity and things like that down to a minimum, but we're not going to completely censor ourselves, and we'll just be natural. Let's just make sure that the one thing that we do is we're always true to ourselves. And I think that I would tell myself that it's just like, don't worry about don't be shy, don't worry about what other people think. Just do it. If you have the passion for it, do it. Take that leap of faith, and then just be yourself, and everything, comes from it.
My piece of advice is don't be afraid of risking it. And what I mean by that is a lot of people get fear of like, hey, what ifs? Growing up, my biggest thing is, what's the worst that can happen?
Sure.
Do I go back doing what I'm doing? Do I go back to working my 9 to 5? Or do I go back to washing dishes? Whatever that is, there's always an opportunity for you if you fail.
Yep.
And it's okay to fail. And I think people are afraid of that.
Yeah.
They're afraid to get out of their comfort zone. One of the big things I did growing up is I started moving. I risked it all. I had a $55,000 job. I busted my tail, went to college. Didn't think I would ever go to college. I had a way to get into college. Got my degree. I worked at GoDaddy making $55K. And I thought I was doing really good. And that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I risked it all to move to a different state, and I started making 32 grand. Like, people are like, why on earth did you do that? Brand new state, didn't have anybody but one person I knew. I took a chance, and then that built into a massive career for me. And it really took off. I mean, obviously the hard work is there, but it's so scary, so scary. And I put that into the YouTube world too. I took a chance. I kept failing. I mean, I failed with the gaming piece multiple times. I started that up maybe 2 or 3 times until I realized, okay, this is not for me yet. Yeah. But it's okay to fail. It's okay to take those chances, because the worst thing that can happen is you end up back doing what you were doing before. Yeah. So why not take the risk? Yep. Got nothing to lose.
I love it. Yeah, I'm very big on both of those. I think those are super important. The authenticity piece of it, right? Being yourself, then you never have to fake it. Right. I think that's important, right? If you don't ever put on an act, you don't ever have to worry if you're on or off. And then, right, like, failing is part of the journey. You don't learn if you don't, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough, right? Because if you're trying hard and you're doing new things and you're trying to grow and be creative, you'll fail along the way. But if you're learning from it, it's just, those are lessons, not failures. So I think both great pieces of advice. So appreciate you guys coming on. Where can people find you guys on any of your platforms? Where are you guys at?
Lootbox TV on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Gin Collects.
Gin Collects on Instagram.
Yeah, make sure you give them a follow.
Very cool. Appreciate you guys having us. Make sure you guys check them out. That's all I got for now, guys. Peace.
Deuces.